going to do great and make a tremendous amount of money and create a lot of jobs. Under the historic trade deal with the Prime Minister that is signed today and private sector agreements that were signed moments ago, we'll be increasing our commerce very, very much further. Japan's going to be investing $550 billion into the United States, and it's an amazing thing, and they're happy, and they're gonna love it. It's going to be really good. It's going to be a great for everybody. But building up an allied industrial base, and one of the things that makes me so happy is they'll be taking some of our product. Japan has I'm saying anything that's very secret. They've been typically slightly closed as a country. It wasn't easy to come in, but they're taking some of our cars and a lot of our different thing, rice, which is actually a big deal because, as you know, they wouldn't do that. And they're taking corn, and they're taking the Ford 150 right here, the big thing, some of our cars. So it's really a great thing. It's going to be great for them. It's going to be great for everybody. But we're doing semiconductors together, critical minerals, shipbuilding. We're starting shipbuilding together. And they're doing pretty well with shipbuilding. They're number 3. They're going to be coming over to the United States and building ships in some of the yards. We have some great yards. The United States was number 1 during World War II, number 1 in the world shipbuilding by far. We would produce a ship a day. Can you believe it? A ship a day, freighters and this and that, but some big ones too, some great warships. And we just let that, our leadership, the person standing right where I am numerous years ago, a number of them, they just let it slip. And so we're going to be very heavy into the shipbuilding in a very pretty short period of time. It takes a while to get that one going, but to think that we were number 1 in the world, and now we basically don't make very many ships anymore. We do beautiful Coast Guard cutters. We do beautiful smaller ships like destroyers, etc. But we don't really do what we should be doing. And we will be doing that pretty soon. But the deals will create jobs and opportunity, wealth, tremendous wealth and security for both sides and for both sides of the Pacific, and make our cherished bond between the two countries even better. And we've got so many wonderful deals, but this is one that people have been very, very interested in. They really waited for this day, and I found it to be an amazing day. Not an easy day. I think we've gone to about 9 stops. You think Biden could have done this? I don't think so. You think so? I've been walking back and forth. Sir, we're going over here. It's just a quarter of a mile. Walking would be fine, sir. Oh, thanks a lot, But we had a lot of stops today, from early in the morning until now. But this is one that I was thrilled because I see the list of people. This is really a who's who, this list. I was reading it. I don't get that impressed with things. I'd say, wow, that's really pretty amazing. But I'm thrilled that so many Japanese investors recognize that people from all over the planet are now discovering that the United States is hot, and it's also a place where you can really do business. Getting the approvals is so great. In my first term, we had an LNG plant, 2 of them. They were under approval. One was 14 years and one was 16 years. And actually, one of them was a big Japanese investor group, and they couldn't get their approvals. It was never going to happen. I come in, I didn't know anything about it, but I came in, I heard about it. And so they were 14 years, I think, and 16 years, and they were just about give up, essentially. And I got one done in one day, and the other one it took me to do as well. It took me 3 days to get it done, and they were under construction in less than a week. And they're up now, and they're doing phenomenally well. In Louisiana, actually, 2 of them right on the coast. And people said, how'd you do that? I said, I have no idea, but I get things done. There's no better place on earth to invest and grow your business than the United States, and a lot of the environmental nonsense. And I'm a big environmentalist in a sense. Like, I want clean air, I want clean water. But we're going to make it great for our workers and our economy. We're not honestly, when I say 5 years, much longer than 5 years to do things. I actually said to some of our people, I said, look, you have, on big plants, you have 2 weeks on oil and gas to get the approvals. And if you go nuclear, 3 weeks for nuclear. Nuclear with Westinghouse is here today. They've done great. They've really, they had a difficult problem few years ago. They have become very hot, Westinghouse. They're doing a lot of work in the United States. We're doing a lot of nuclear now. Nuclear now is safe and it's inexpensive. It's great energy now. I was with nuclear, but I didn't love certain aspects of it. Today it's so different, and it really is a safe, great way to go. A lot of people are going that way. But 1 year ago, the United States was really, you'd never get your permits. You'd wait years and years and years. And honestly, if you had another, like Kamala, I don't know where the hell she came from, but if you had Kamala, I was right. Against Biden, I went up by 29 points. All of a sudden, they take him out. It's like a fighter. He's losing the fight. They replace him in the middle of the fight. They gave me a new one. They gave me Kamala. I went from Joe to Kamala. But if she got in, I don't think there'd be nobody in this room. You wouldn't be doing anything. You'd be elsewhere doing things, and wouldn't be the same. But you have a great partner now in the United States getting you started, and you thing done very, very quickly. Record time, as fast as, I think, much faster than maybe any other country, other than China. Because in China, you have a good system also. You have a system where President Xi can approve it immediately. So that's even faster. He doesn't have to wait 2 weeks. I have to wait 2 weeks. But you do go quickly there, but we have a lot of advantages, as you know. Since the election, we've secured all of that money coming in, and we have a lot more money coming in. And again, I mentioned SoftBank, but JERA, JCB, Toyota, Mitsubishi, Hitachi, Honda, they're all coming into this. We have a lot of car plants opening up because of tariffs. They don't want to pay tariffs, and they come and Japan is sponsoring many of them because that way you don't have to pay the tariffs. Without the tariffs, I mean, tariffs are about national security, and we're making a lot of money. We're going to start paying down debt very soon. We have a lot of debt because honestly, we didn't know what the hell we were doing as a country. GDP growth in the second quarter was an amazing almost 4%. Nobody thought. They thought it was going to be 2%. They had no idea. Just announced 4%, almost 4%. And then the next quarter, I don't know. I think it can go much higher. I think when we kick in, when these plants start to open, we're building many of them. And a lot of them are car plants, but, you keep hearing about the AI, and that's obviously the biggest thing right now. And nobody's doing like but we have a lot of other plants coming in, but a lot of car plants are coming in. They're coming in from other countries. And next quarter, I think you're going to see maybe 4%, maybe more. But when these plants start opening up, you're going to see numbers that are going to be shocking. Energy prices are down. Gasoline are down. Groceries are down, except for the beef, which I'll get down to. Our ranchers were, for 25 years, they did poorly. And I put tariffs on some. It was just too much. They couldn't compete. They were going out of business. And maybe they're doing too good now, but we want them to do well. But we have to get the beef prices down. So that's, it's an easy problem to solve, but we'll always take care of our ranchers too. And they were with me 100%. They've been with me from the beginning. We had an election that was too big to rig. We had to get it. I would constantly say, too big to rig. Don't believe polls that were way up. Just, you got to go and vote. When the polls are too high, people say, let's go to a movie and we'll go home and watch our president win. But I said, you got to go because we have a very corrupt election process, and you need that. You need borders, and you need a fair press, and the press is slightly better. I'd say, slightly, but it'll get better. I think it's getting better and better because otherwise they're going to lose all credibility, and nobody's going to be watching or listening to them. But you need strong borders, and you need good voting, and we're getting them both much better. The mortgage rates, except for the fact that we have an incompetent head of the Fed, I think he's incompetent. Or a bad guy, but despite that, mortgage rates are down. Who could believe that? We have an anti-person. I call him too late. He's always too late. He's been too late, and Jerome Too Late Powell. So somebody gave me a bad reference on him. I put him in based on some guy that turned out to be not so hot. And we got a bad Fed guy, but he'll be out of there a few months, and we'll get somebody new. I guess, Scott, you have a long list of people that want it. If anybody has any suggestions, because we really do. We have, all the people that are being talked to. If you have a suggestion, just shout it out. Just shout it out. Mark, do you have a suggestion? Mark has some pretty good suggestions. You put me on the cover of Time magazine. That was a nice picture. Thank you very much for that. That was very good. It was a nice story, too. Thank you very much. I've been on the cover almost 50 times, but Mark, I can only use 17 of them. Meaning the rest of them aren't so good. 17 are great. This one was very good. This is going up. Now I have 18. Thank you very much. I'll see you in a little while. But mortgage rates are down, and we're rapidly building the greatest economy, I think in history. I mean, look, bad things can happen. We're doing great, and even after COVID, we had the best 4 years. But all of a sudden, COVID, things happen. Things happen. I hope things don't happen here, but we were doing numbers like nobody had ever seen before. Not as good as we're doing now. And then all of a sudden, we started hearing about people dying in different places of the world, in China and other places. And we have a COVID. We have a pandemic all of a sudden, and, things like that happen. But hopefully that won't happen in this case, in this term. But we did a good job in handling it. We made more machinery and everything else. We did great with the therapeutics, Regeneron, and we did the vaccine. We had the vaccine approved in 9 months, and there are many people that say that we saved 50 million lives worldwide. Not everybody agrees with that, but a lot of people say we saved 50 million lives. In World War II, I guess we lost close to 100. People don't know that it was so bad, the Spanish flu, that it actually ended the war. That was what stopped the First World War. But we were on our way to really terrible numbers. We had, obviously, so many million people died. That was a terrible thing. But things happen, and things that you wouldn't think of. Who would have thought pandemic? I thought that was like an ancient problem. It wasn't a modern-day problem. But a lot of people did a great job there, and we ended up with the 4 years great. We actually ended up, when I left, with a stock market price that was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Who would think that was even possible? Because we were rocking and rolling, and then that happened, and we ended up higher. The stock market was higher than it was just prior to hearing about this horrible plague. So just as importantly, we've implemented the largest regulation cuts in the history of our country, even larger than we had. We had the biggest, by 4 times, the biggest regulation cuts in history in my first term, and we're going to be doing that. And we're cutting, as you know, if we add one new regulation, you have to cut 8 to 10. So you add one, and it's okay, and you cut 10. And we started at 8, now we're 10, including massive reductions in the red tape for the infrastructure and the rapid approvals, et cetera. But this includes the upcoming liquefied natural gas pipeline in Alaska, which we have well underway, to export vast amounts of American energy. And Japan is one of the big customers, by the way. And our slogan, and we have fantastic people. Chris Wright is phenomenal. Doug is fantastic. Those two guys are like a partnership. They're unbelievable. I'm sure you're dealing with them very successfully. But our motto is drill, baby, drill. That's a little different than people that say you can't, drive energy through the roof. And I think you're going to see $2 gasoline pretty soon. And that's like bigger than a tax cut. That's the equivalent of something bigger than a tax cut. So support of Japanese companies like SoftBank, we're pursuing a very bold national policy to keep the United States the world's leader in artificial intelligence. We have some of the greatest in artificial intelligence right here. They were the ones that showed me some things. I said, you got to be kidding. It's fantastic. My uncle was a great professor at MIT, and he was always ahead of the game. He was a smart guy. He has a distinction of being at MIT, the longest-serving professor in the history of MIT, Dr. John Trump. And he was always ahead of the game. And when I see some of the things that are happening, you guys are really ahead of the game. We're speeding construction of AI infrastructure and bringing production of the critical chips and semiconductors back onshore. And I want to congratulate Jensen, because he's been really amazing. He's an amazing guy. brilliant guy. I'm seeing him tomorrow. 11 days ago, NVIDIA and TSMC announced that they have produced the very fast, first-rate, state-of-the-art, the Blackwell. It's like, I don't know, people say 10 years advanced. Who knows? But a lot. And it's entirely made in the USA. As you know, TSMC and NVIDIA are spending hundreds of billions of dollars now in the United States. And many other chip makers are too. It's incredible, actually, to see what's happened in literally a period of, now it's a little bit less than 9 months. And don't forget, we had to celebrate for a couple of weeks, so I have to sort of deduct. Once we won, we celebrated, and we shouldn't have done that. We should have started immediately, not wasted 8 days. But we really didn't. America's, once again, a manufacturing nation, and something that we haven't talked about for a long time. Japan has been with us all the way, and it's amazing that we had a little conflict with Japan. You may have heard about it, and that after such a horrible thing, yet the two nations are the closest friends and partners that you can be, and based on a shared commitment to freedom, democracy, security, prosperity, civilization, and just basic human achievement. It's amazing, actually. As some of you may know, this very residence was once the home to the great General Douglas MacArthur. I don't know if you ever heard, he graduated #1 in his class at West Point, but they say that he was the single greatest student in the history of West Point. Now, I don't know how they go about doing that. You know, I could see #1 for the year. I could see #1 for graduating, but they say he was the greatest student. He was a great intellect. A lot of people don't know that about General Douglas MacArthur. The moment that the peace was signed 80 years ago, that very brilliant man set about building a friendship between our two countries that has grown and deepened, and he actually wrote the Constitution here. And he did it all by himself. He was an intellect, and still the Constitution. Our partnership has been an extraordinary blessing to the world. If you look at what's happened and what's come out of it, I think a lot more is going to come out of it than even in the past. And I look forward to expanding it even further. We will do that, and I'm so happy to have gotten to know your new Prime Minister. I think she's going to go down as great. She was a real friend and ally. As I told you, a great man. Shinzo Abe, he was really a great man. He was a great Prime Minister, and she was an absolute ally. And he would have been very happy if he knew that she was very heavily supported and ultimately winning for Prime Minister. So I think she's going to do a great job. She's got all of our support. But I want to thank everybody for being here. You're an amazing group of people. I mean, each one of you has a story like really no other. And it's an honor to be here. We traveled long and far. It's a long flight. Going to Malaysia, then say, let's stop over. But we wanted to be here for this because it's very special. And keep up the good work. And remember that you have a great friend and ally. And if you can't get Scott and Howard and all of our people, Marco, to get it done, call me and I'll override them if I have to. I will override them. But I want to thank you all very much. And I want to thank my cabinet for doing a great job. Thank you. Thank you very much.
وہ کوستانی کون سا علاقہ ہے؟ جناب اسپیکر، وہ کوستانی وہ علاقہ ہے کہ جب پاکستان پہ مشکلات آئیں اور اس کے پی پہ مشکلات آئی تو وہ کوستانی لوگ بدرد کھڑے تھے۔ اس کی مثال کیا ہے جناب اسپیکر؟ کہ 2007 میں ایک بڑا دہشت گردی کا سیلاب شروع ہوا، سوات شانگلہ پورا لپیٹ میں لے لیا۔ جناب اسپیکر، کوہستان کی حدود باؤنڈری جو ہے وہ سوات اور شانگلہ اور گلگت بلتستان اور اس طرف سے منسیر ہزارہ بڑگرام کے ساتھ ٹچ کرتی ہے۔ آپ تاریخ کو دیکھ لیں، الحمدللہ یہ کوستانی وہ کوستانی قوم ہے، انہوں نے کہا کہ دنیا کی کوئی لالچ کی ہمیں ضرورت نہیں ہے، ہمیں اپنے ملک پاکستان بچانا ہے، ہم نے اپنے ملک کے پکے بچانا ہے صبح، اور ہم نے اپنا زیر کوہستان کو بچانا ہے اور کوہستان کے نام کو بچانا ہے۔ عرض یہ ہے جناب اسپیکر، اس دن ہم نے یہ جو زبانوں کا سلسلہ شروع ہوا تو 2 قرارداد جمع کیا تھا۔ ایک قرارداد تھی کوہستانی زبان کے بارے میں اور دوسری قرارداد تھی گوجری زبان کے بارے میں۔ تو الحمدللہ اسپیکر، بہت شکریہ، اس عوام کا شکریہ، آپ سب کا شکریہ کہ وہ گوجری زبان آپ لوگوں نے مطلب ہے کہ کر دیا ہے اسمبلی میں چھیتی زبان، تو میں اس کا سب کا شکریہ ادا کرتا ہوں، میں نے کل بھی کیا۔ مگر جناب اسپیکر، کوہستان بہت بڑی تعداد میں ہے اور کافی لوگ مایوس ہوئے ہیں، اور یقین مانے میں خود بھی مایوس ہویا ہوں کہ 2 زبان گٹھی ہم نے قرارداد جمع کیا تھا، ایک ہوگی اور دوسری نہیں ہوا۔ تو اس پہ میں یہ سمجھنا چاہتا ہوں جناب اسپیکر، میں یہ سمجھنا چاہتا ہوں کہ کیا کہ ہم کوہستانی جو ہے ہم اس کے پکے کی نہیں ہیں؟ کیا ہم کوہستانیوں نے اس کے پکے کے ساتھ کوئی غداری کیا ہے؟ کیا ہم کوہستانیوں نے کون سا ایسا نقصان کیا ہے کہ جس میں ہمارے کوہستان کے نام اور ہماری زبان کا قرارداد میں شامل نہ کیا جائے؟ تو اس پہ عرض یہ ہے، میں چند باتیں کرنا چاہتا ہوں۔ لوگ کہتے ہیں کہ جی کوہستان کے ریونیو نہیں آتا ہے، اس کے حوالے سے بھی 1-2 باتیں کروں۔ جناب اسپیکر، اس وقت مدنیات نہیں تھا، آپ تاریخ دیکھ لیں، بزنس میں سب سے ٹاپ کے ریونیو ڈپارٹمنٹ جنگلات سے کوہستان سے آمدن آتی تھی۔ اور آج کی بات کروں جناب، آپ دیکھ لیں جناب اسپیکر، یہ جو ہمارا بادشاہ ہے کوہستان کی حدود پہ زیادہ تر آ رہا ہے، ڈاسو ڈیم بن رہا ہے کوہستان کے حدود میں آ رہا ہے، پٹن پالس ڈیم جو بن رہا ہے کوہستان کے حدود میں آ رہا ہے۔ اور پھر میں مبارکباد دیتا ہوں اس کوہستانی قوم کو، جناب اسپیکر،